The warning. Dr. Sarah Winters stared at the radar display in the Antarctic Research Station Omega, her breath forming small clouds in the frigid air. The anomaly hadn't moved in 3 days, but its energy signature kept growing stronger. Whatever lay buried 2 kilometers beneath the ice sheet wasn't just ancient technology. It was active. Dr. Winters, her assistant, James Chen, appeared in the doorway, his dark eyes wide with urgency. "You need to see this." The Coalition broadcast. It started. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. The Interstellar Coalition had arrived in Earth's solar system 2 weeks ago, their massive fleet taking position just beyond Mars' orbit. Now, after days of tense silence, they were finally revealing their purpose. The research station's common room was packed with scientists and support staff, all eyes fixed on the holographic display. The alien figure that materialized was tall and serpentine, its iridescent scales shifting colors as it moved. High Commander Xareth of the Coalition spoke in perfectly translated English, but there was no warmth in its multifaceted eyes. "People of Earth," the alien began, "your rapid technological advancement and unchecked expansion have become a matter of grave concern. The Coalition has maintained peace in this sector for 10,000 years. We will not allow a primitive species to destabilize that peace." Sarah felt her colleagues tense around her. Humanity had only achieved faster than light travel 15 years ago. In that time, they'd established colonies on 3 exoplanets and made first contact with dozens of alien civilizations. The Coalition had largely ignored them until now. Therefore, Sareth continued, "The Coalition hereby demands Earth's immediate submission to our authority. Your military vessels will be decommissioned. Your colonies will be placed under Coalition administration. Your technological development will be strictly regulated. You have 48 hours to comply, or we will be forced to take corrective action." The transmission ended, leaving the room in stunned silence. It was James who finally spoke, his voice trembling with a mix of fear and anger. "They can't do this. We have rights. We signed the Galactic Charter." "The charter they created," Sarah muttered, her mind racing. The anomaly beneath the ice, its activation coinciding perfectly with the Coalition's arrival. It couldn't be a coincidence. "James, get me a secure line to the United Earth government. Now." Hours later, Sarah found herself in a virtual conference with the UEG's Emergency Response Committee. Her hologram stood before 24 of Earth's highest-ranking officials, including Defense Commissioner Helena Rodriguez and Science Director Omar Khan. "Dr. Winters," Rodriguez began, "you believe this discovery of yours is relevant to our current crisis?" Sarah nodded, bringing up her data displays. 3 weeks ago, our deep scanning array detected an artificial structure buried in the Antarctic ice. Initial analysis suggested it was at least 100,000 years old, far predating any known human civilization. But when the Coalition fleet entered our solar system, something changed. The structure began emitting energy signatures unlike anything we've ever seen. "Are you suggesting?" Director Khan leaned forward, his holographic eyes intense, "that this is alien technology?" "No." Sarah took a deep breath. "Based on the quantum signature patterns and molecular structure of the few samples we've managed to scan, I believe this technology is human in origin. Very, very old human technology." The virtual chamber erupted in surprised murmurs. Rodriguez raised a hand for silence. "Explain." "The genetic markers in the organic components match human DNA exactly. This wasn't built by aliens. It was built by our ancestors, by humans who possess technology far beyond our current capabilities. And I think—" Sarah hesitated, knowing how it would sound. "I think it's some kind of defense system, one specifically designed to protect Earth from threats like the Coalition." Director Khan stroked his beard thoughtfully. "How can you be sure?" "Because it's been trying to communicate with us." Sarah brought up new displays showing complex data patterns. "These began appearing in our systems 3 days ago. At first, we thought it was just random data corruption, but we've begun to decode it. Their activation protocols, technical specifications, tactical data, everything we'd need to understand and control whatever's down there. If what you're saying is true, Rodriguez said slowly, this could change everything. But we'd need to act fast. The Coalition's deadline. Give me 12 hours and a team of quantum engineers, Sarah interrupted. The structure is already awakening. We just need to help it along. The committee members exchanged looks. Finally, Rodriguez nodded. You have 6 hours, Dr. Winters. Whatever's buried under that ice, we need it operational before the Coalition loses patience. Humanity's future may depend on it. As the conference ended, Sarah turned to find James already gathering equipment. I've contacted the engineering team, he said. They're on their way. But Sarah, he paused, looking worried. What exactly do you think we're going to find down there? Sarah looked at the radar display, where the energy signature pulsed like a heartbeat awakening from a long slumber. Hope, she said quietly, and maybe a few answers about who we really are. The next 6 hours would change the course of human history forever. As Sarah's team worked frantically to unlock the secrets buried beneath the ice, the Coalition fleet maintained its ominous vigil beyond Mars. Neither side yet realized that an ancient plan, set in motion by long-forgotten ancestors, was about to reshape the galaxy itself. High above the Earth, Coalition High Commander Xareth received a troubling report from his science division. Strange energy readings were emanating from the southern polar region of the planet. Energy readings that seemed hauntingly familiar, and that stirred memories of ancient warnings passed down through generations of Coalition leadership. It was impossible, of course. The precursors were gone, their legacy lost to time. These primitives couldn't possibly. But for the first time in centuries, Xareth felt something he hadn't expected. Fear. Legacy uncovered. The Antarctic ice groaned and shifted as massive energy pulses radiated from deep below. Dr. Sarah Winters stood in the hastily constructed control center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the awakening structure. Teams of engineers worked frantically at quantum interface terminals, racing against time as the Coalition's deadline drew closer. Power levels are approaching critical threshold, James announced, his fingers dancing across the control surface. The quantum matrices are aligning. Sarah, I think we're ready. Sarah nodded, her throat tight with anticipation. The last 6 hours had been a blur of discoveries, each more astonishing than the last. The ancient facility wasn't just a weapons platform or defensive installation. It was a gateway to humanity's forgotten past. Begin final activation sequence, she ordered. As her team initiated the startup protocols they'd decoded, Sarah's mind returned to the message they'd discovered buried in the facility's data core. It had been meant for them, for this moment. To our descendants, if you are reading this, the stars have aligned as we foresaw. The legacy sleeps no more. Remember, you were never meant to be bound to one world. The cosmos flows in your veins. Reclaim your birthright. The facility's power signature suddenly spiked, sending tremors through the ice sheet. Warning alerts flashed across multiple screens as energy readings went off the scale. Containment field holding, James reported, his voice tense. But whatever's down there, it's putting out more power than a small star. Through the observation windows, Sarah watched as fissures of blue-white light began spreading across the ice field. The ancient machines were doing something to local space-time itself, warping and reshaping reality around them. Dr. Winters, a technician called out, we're detecting similar energy signatures activating worldwide. Under the Pacific Ocean, the Himalayas, the Amazon basin. Sarah's eyes widened. It wasn't just here. They left installations all over the planet, waiting to be awakened. The ground shook more violently as the hidden network of ancient technology surged to life. In orbit, satellites recorded strange distortions in the fabric of space as massive objects began emerging from what appeared to be pocket dimensions, ships, stations, and installations that had been sealed away for millennia. On the Coalition flagship, High Commander Xarith watched in growing horror as his worst fears materialized. The humans weren't just accessing precursor technology. They were awakening a full defensive grid that predated the Coalition itself. All ships, battle stations, he ordered, his scales shifting to a pale shade of fear. "Prepare to." "Sir," his tactical officer interrupted. "We're detecting spatial distortions throughout the system. Something's coming through." In the void between Mars and Jupiter, space itself seemed to tear open. Through the dimensional rifts emerged vessels of impossible size and design, an armada that had slumbered in the spaces between reality, waiting for this moment. Back in Antarctica, Sarah and her team watched in awe as the data poured in. The ships were fully automated, controlled by quantum AI systems that had spent 100,000 years planning for this day, and they were ready to accept human crews. "This is incredible," James breathed, analyzing the technical specifications streaming across his display. "Their technology. It's not just more advanced than ours. It operates on fundamentally different principles. They weren't just building better engines or weapons. They found ways to manipulate the basic laws of physics." Sarah nodded, her mind racing with the implications. "And they left it all for us. Not just the technology, but the knowledge to understand and use it." She turned to face her team. "Get me the defense commissioner. They need to know." The facility's AI suddenly interrupted, its synthesized voice resonating with ancient power. "Warning. Coalition forces are mobilizing. Defensive protocols initiating. All systems transferring to human control." Throughout the facility, new interfaces materialized, control stations specifically designed for human operators. The ancient machines had recognized their descendants and were offering up their power. "Sarah," James called out urgently. "The fleet. It's requesting authorization to engage. It needs a human commander." Before Sarah could respond, a priority transmission cut through all channels. Defense Commissioner Rodriguez's hologram appeared, her expression grave but determined. "Dr. Winters, we've seen the data. The UEG has convened an emergency session and reached a decision. We will not submit to the Coalition's demands. Instead," she paused, a fierce light in her eyes, "we're going to show them exactly who they're dealing with." "The fleet needs a commander," Sarah said quietly. "Someone who understands the technology, who's studied their systems." Rodriguez nodded. "Exactly. Dr. Winters, by authority of the United Earth Government, you are hereby promoted to Fleet Admiral. Your first task is to demonstrate to the Coalition that humanity will not be subjugated." Sarah felt the weight of history settling on her shoulders. Around her, the ancient facility hummed with power, ready to help humanity take its first steps back into their true heritage. The Coalition had meant to force Earth's submission. Instead, they had awakened something that would change the galaxy forever. "Very well," she said, stepping onto the main command platform. Interface circuits recognized her DNA, connecting her mind directly to the vast network of awakened technology. In orbit, the ancient fleet responded to her thoughts, moving with fluid grace as it prepared for battle. "James, signal all stations, begin crew transfers to the fleet, and open a channel to the Coalition flagship." Sarah's voice was steady as she gave the order that would mark humanity's rebirth as a stellar power. "Let's remind them why their ancestors feared ours." As humanity scrambled to claim their legacy, the Coalition fleet hung in space, watching as an impossible armada assembled itself from the depths of history. The stage was set for a confrontation that would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy and reveal truths that both sides had forgotten. First strike. Admiral Sarah Winters stood on the bridge of the Remembrance, the newly awakened flagship of humanity's ancient fleet. Through the neural interface connecting her to the ship's systems, she could feel the vessel's awesome power thrumming through her consciousness. Around her, hastily trained crew members worked at stations that seemed to anticipate their every need, the forgotten technology adapting to serve its inheritors. Coalition fleet is holding position beyond Mars orbit, James reported from his tactical station. They've increased power to their shields but haven't made any aggressive moves yet. They're waiting to see what we'll do, Sarah said, studying the tactical display. The coalition's fighting strength was impressive. Over 300 capital ships backed by more than 1,000 support vessels. Under normal circumstances, it would have been more than enough to subdue Earth. But these were no longer normal circumstances. All ships reporting ready, Admiral, her XO, Captain Maya Rodriguez, announced. The daughter of the defense commissioner had volunteered to serve as Sarah's second-in-command, proving herself remarkably adept at interfacing with the ancient systems. The AI has finished uploading tactical data to all command crews. Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. Humanity's first major space battle would either establish them as a force to be reckoned with or end in catastrophic defeat. Open a channel to the Coalition flagship. High Commander Xareth's hologram appeared, his scales now a deep purple of agitation. So, he said, the children have found their ancestors' toys. Do you truly think this changes anything? You cannot hope to master such power in time to save yourselves. This is your only warning, Commander, Sarah replied, her voice steady. Withdraw your forces and recognize Earth's sovereignty, or we will be forced to demonstrate exactly how quickly humans can adapt. Xareth's multifaceted eyes flashed with anger. You dare threaten the Coalition? Very well. Let us educate you on the proper order of things. His image vanished, and the Coalition fleet began to move. Multiple weapon locks detected, James called out. They're launching fighters and charging main batteries. Sarah felt a strange calm settle over her as the ancient combat systems fully activated. Through her neural link, she could sense every ship in her fleet, every weapon and defense system primed and ready. The technology left by their ancestors wasn't just powerful, it was intuitive, designed to work in perfect harmony with human thought patterns. All ships, combat formation Delta, she ordered. Activate quantum shields and prepare to execute battle plan threshold. The human fleet moved with fluid grace, ships arranging themselves in a three-dimensional pattern that seemed to defy conventional tactical doctrine. The Coalition forces fired first, a barrage of energy weapons and graviton torpedoes streaking across the void. What happened next would be studied by military historians for centuries to come. The ancient ship's defensive systems didn't just block the incoming fire. They caught it, transformed it, and redirected its energy to strengthen their shields. Coalition fighters found themselves unable to lock onto targets that seemed to exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. Their capital ship's most powerful weapons dissipated harmlessly against defenses that operated on principles their sensors couldn't even detect. Enemy fleet is adjusting formation, James reported, a note of excitement in his voice. They're trying to concentrate their fire on our left flank. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Just as the tactical AI predicted. Execute Phase 2. The human fleet's response was devastating in its elegance. Ships phased in and out of normal space, appearing at impossible angles to deliver precise strikes against Coalition vessels. Weapons that seemed to ignore conventional physics carved through enemy shields as if they weren't there. Within minutes, the Coalition's carefully coordinated attack had devolved into chaos. On the Coalition flagship, Xareth watched in horror as his forces were systematically dismantled by weapons and tactics that shouldn't have been possible. By the eternal void, he whispered, the legends were true. They really are their children. Sir, his tactical officer's voice shook, we're detecting energy buildups throughout their fleet, like nothing we've ever seen before. Sarah's voice cut through all Coalition communication channels. Final warning. Commander, the next demonstration will be considerably less gentle. To emphasize her point, one of the ancient destroyers fired a single shot at an uninhabited moon. The resulting explosion didn't just destroy the moon. It erased it from existence, leaving behind a sphere of altered space-time, where matter simply refused to exist. The Coalition fleet froze. In that moment, every alien commander realized they were facing power that could rewrite the laws of physics itself. Stand down all weapons, Xareth ordered, his voice heavy with resignation. "Signal our surrender." As the coalition ships powered down their systems, a cheer went up through the human fleet. They had faced their first test as a restored stellar power and emerged triumphant. But Sarah felt no elation, only a growing sense that this was just the beginning. "Admiral," Maya said quietly, "we're detecting unusual quantum signatures at the edge of the system. Something big is coming through subspace." Before Sarah could respond, the ancient AI spoke, its tone carrying an urgency that hadn't been present before. "Alert. Watchers detected. The old ones return." Space itself seemed to ripple as massive vessels of unknown design began emerging from subspace. They weren't coalition ships, nor did they match any known alien design. These were something else entirely, something that had been waiting for this moment. "All ships, hold position," Sarah ordered, studying the new arrivals. "But maintain combat readiness. I have a feeling we're about to learn why our ancestors left us such powerful weapons." The mysterious vessels arranged themselves in a ceremonial pattern, and a transmission cut through all frequencies. "Children of Earth, you have awakened to your heritage at last. Now you must learn why. The great sleep is ending, and the darkness stirs. The galaxy will need your kind again." As the message ended, Sarah shared a look with her crew. They had won their first battle, but somehow she knew they had just become part of a much larger war, one that their ancestors had fought long ago, and that now fell to them to finish. The legacy fleet hung in space, humanity's shield and sword, ready to face whatever challenges the universe had in store. They had reclaimed their birthright. Now they would have to prove worthy of it. Hidden truth. The Great Hall of the Remembrance hummed with tension as representatives from Earth, the Coalition, and the mysterious Watchers gathered for what would prove to be the most important diplomatic meeting in human history. Admiral Sarah Winters sat at the center of the human delegation, flanked by James and Maya. Across from them, High Commander Ktareth and his staff seemed diminished somehow, their earlier arrogance replaced by a wary respect. But it was the Watchers who commanded the room's attention, their representatives, calling themselves the Guardians, wore forms of pure energy contained within crystalline shells. The being who addressed them identified itself as First Guardian Ethos. "We have watched and waited for 100,000 years," Ethos began, its voice resonating on multiple frequencies simultaneously. "Since the day your ancestors made their great sacrifice, we knew this moment would come." "What sacrifice?" Sarah asked, leaning forward. "Why did our ancestors hide their technology, their true capabilities from us?" Ethos's energy form pulsed with what might have been sadness. "To protect you. To give you the chance to develop naturally, to become your own people before reclaiming your heritage. But now time grows short. The Void Lords stir in their prison between galaxies." The Coalition representatives stiffened at these words. Xareth's scales turned ashen. "Impossible. The Void Lords were sealed away forever." "Nothing is forever, Commander," Ethos replied. "Your coalition was founded to maintain stability in the galaxy, to prevent any civilization from developing technology that might accidentally free the Void Lords from their prison. But in your zealousness, you forgot the most important truth, who it was that imprisoned them in the first place." Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as the implications became clear. "Our ancestors. The humans you call precursors." "Yes." Ethos' form brightened. "Humanity once stood as the galaxy's greatest civilization, masters of physics and reality itself. When the Void Lords emerged from the dark space between galaxies, threatening to consume all existence, it was humanity who led the fight against them." The ancient Eye of the Remembrance joined the conversation, projecting historical records that had been sealed away for millennia. They watched in awe as scenes from the ancient war played out before them. Human fleets wielding powers that defied comprehension, battling against cosmic horrors that threatened to unmake reality itself. "Your ancestors succeeded in imprisoning the Void Lords," Ethos continued, "but the cost was tremendous. The energy required for the sealing ritual forced them to sacrifice most of their civilization's power. Rather than risk their remaining technology falling into unprepared hands, they sealed it away, encoding it to respond only to their descendants when the time was right. And that time is now, Maya said softly, because the seals are failing. Correct. The prison weakens. The Void Lords gather their strength. Soon, they will attempt to break free. And only humanity's inherited power can reinforce the seals. Or, Ethos paused meaningfully, end the threat once and for all. Harith surged to his feet. This is madness. You expect us to believe that these primitives are our ancient protectors, that we should trust them with the fate of all existence. Look around you, Commander. Sarah gestured to the great hall they sat in, to the fleet of impossibly advanced ships hanging in space outside. Look at what we accomplished in mere hours with technology designed for us. Your coalition feared humanity's potential for a reason. You simply didn't understand what that potential truly meant. The ancient AI projected new data, showing energy readings from the edge of the galaxy. Dark distortions were forming in the void between stars, growing larger by the day. The prison was indeed failing. We offer you a choice, Ethos addressed the coalition representatives. Continue to stand against humanity and face the Void Lords divided, or join forces with your ancient protectors and give existence itself a chance for survival. Harith looked from the disturbing readings to the human delegation. For the first time, he saw them not as upstart primitives, but as the descendants of legends, awakening to their birthright, just when the galaxy needed them most. Slowly, deliberately, he bowed his head. The coalition submits to the wisdom of the Watchers, he declared. We offer our full support to humanity in the coming war. Sarah felt the weight of history and destiny settling more firmly on her shoulders. How long do we have? Months, perhaps, Ethos replied. The ancient weapons must be distributed throughout the galaxy. Your people must be trained. The coalition's forces must be upgraded with compatible technology. And you, Admiral Winters, must lead them all. Why me? Because you were the first to truly interface with the legacy systems. Your genetic compatibility is the highest we've seen since the ancient days. You are, in many ways, the perfect bridge between humanity's past and present. As if in response to Ethos's words, new data streamed through Sarah's neural link to the ship. She saw the full scope of what they faced, the horrifying power of the Void Lords, the desperate plan their ancestors had enacted, and the role she would have to play in the coming conflict. Very well, she said, standing. Let's get to work. Humanity's first duty was to protect this galaxy. It's time we resumed our post. As the meeting concluded, Sarah gazed out at the stars. Soon those stars would become a battlefield once again, as existence itself hung in the balance. But this time, humanity wouldn't stand alone. They had allies, they had their ancestors' legacy, and most importantly, they had the determination to face whatever horrors the void might hold. The ancient AI's voice whispered in her mind. The sleepers have awakened. The legacy is restored. The final war begins. Rising dawn. 3 months after the revelation of humanity's true heritage, the combined fleets of Earth and the Coalition gathered at the edge of known space. Admiral Sarah Winters stood on the bridge of the Remembrance, watching as the last ships took their positions. The array of vessels was unprecedented. Over 10,000 ships of various designs, all upgraded with humanity's inherited technology. Final system check complete, James reported from his station. All ships report ready for quantum sync. Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. Through her neural link, she could sense the readiness of every vessel, every crew member. The ancient technology had been distributed throughout the fleet, and crews of all species had learned to work in harmony with it. Unity born of necessity, forged in the face of extinction. Multiple void ruptures detected, Maya announced, her voice tense. The prison breach is accelerating. The visual feeds showed it clearly. Massive tears in the fabric of reality, dark energies seeping through like ink in water. The Void Lords were making their move, just as the Watchers had predicted. All ships, battle positions, Sarah ordered. Initiate Guardian Protocol. The fleet moved with perfect coordination, forming intricate geometric patterns in space. Each formation had been calculated by the ancient AIs to create overlapping fields of altered space-time, a strategy that had worked for their ancestors and would hopefully work again. First Guardian Ethos's voice echoed through the command channel. The moment of truth approaches. Remember, Admiral, the seals can only be reinforced when the Void Lords fully manifest. We must let them emerge before we can trap them again. Or destroy them, Sarah added quietly. Their ancestors had only managed to imprison the Void Lords. But with the combined power of the entire galaxy's civilizations channeled through humanity's inherited weapons, they had a chance to end the threat forever. The void ruptures suddenly expanded exponentially. Space itself seemed to scream as vast, impossible shapes began pushing through into normal reality. The Void Lords were beyond conventional description. Masses of dark energy and twisted physics that hurt the mind to look upon. By the eternal stars, Karith whispered from his position, commanding the coalition forces. Our ancestors faced these horrors. And won. Sarah reminded him. All ships, hold formation. Wait for my mark. The Void Lords fully emerged, dozen of them, each capable of consuming entire star systems. Their presence began warping reality around them, stars dimming as the fundamental forces of the universe began to break down. Now, Sarah commanded. The combined fleet attacked as one. Weapons that manipulated the fabric of reality itself lashed out at the cosmic horrors. The Void Lords retaliated with powers that could erase matter from existence, but they found their efforts blunted by the overlapping quantum shields of the human-led fleet. Phase 1 complete, the ancient AI reported. Void Lords are fully manifested and contained within the battle zone. Ready to initiate primary sealing protocol. Sarah took a deep breath. This was the moment everything had led to. All ships, execute Protocol Omega. Channel all power to the legacy weapons. Energy began flowing between the ships of the combined fleet, guided by the inherited technology of humanity's ancestors. Every vessel became part of a vast pattern, a weapon on a scale never before attempted. The Void Lords sensed the danger. They launched a desperate assault, reality-destroying powers crashing against the fleet's defenses. Ships began to fall, their crews sacrificing themselves to maintain the crucial formation. Pattern integrity at 90%. Maya reported, her voice steady despite the chaos. Energy synchronization achieving critical levels. Through her neural link, Sarah could feel the power building. Not just the technology, but the combined will of every being in the fleet, human, coalition, and others, all focused on one goal: survival. Remember why we fight, she broadcast to all ships. Not just for Earth, not just for our own civilizations, but for all life, all existence. Our ancestors stood guard over this galaxy once. Today, we honor their legacy by finishing what they started. The Void Lords launched one final assault, concentrating all their power on the fleet's center. Ships disappeared into nothingness, crews dying without a sound as reality unraveled around them. But still the formation held. Pattern integrity holding at 85%, James called out. It's enough. We can do this. All ships, Sarah commanded, her voice ringing with authority. Fire. The combined energy of an entire galaxy's civilizations, channeled through humanity's inherited weapons, erupted from the fleet. The blast was beyond description. Pure white light that somehow contained every color imaginable, energy that rewrote the laws of physics themselves. The Void Lords screamed in frequencies that shattered nearby stars. But they could not escape. The power engulfed them, not merely imprisoning them this time, but unmaking them completely. Reality itself rejected their existence, erasing them from the cosmos forever. When the light faded, the void ruptures were gone. Space gradually returned to normal, stars rekindling as the laws of physics reasserted themselves. The combined fleet hung in space, damaged but triumphant. Quantum scans confirm, the ancient AI announced. The Void Lords have been completely destroyed. The threat is ended. A cheer went up across all channels, human voices mixing with alien sounds of celebration. They had faced the ultimate darkness and emerged victorious. Hours later, as the fleet began its journey home, Sarah stood in the Remembrance's observation dome with James, Maya, and representatives from various civilizations. They watched the stars shining brightly, somehow more beautiful now that their existence was secure. "What happens now?" James asked quietly. "Now," Sarah smiled, "we build something new. Not just humanity, not just the coalition, but all of us together. Our ancestors left us more than weapons. They left us the knowledge to help guide the galaxy into a better future." First Guardian ethos materialized beside them. The Watchers will help, but we will no longer need to hide in the shadows. The children of Earth have proven themselves worthy of their heritage. The galaxy is in good hands. As the Remembrance led the fleet home, Sarah felt a profound sense of peace. Humanity had not only reclaimed their birthright, but had unified the galaxy in the process. Their ancestors would have been proud. The stars beckoned, not with threat or challenge now, but with promise. A new dawn was rising for all civilizations, guided by the restored legacy of humanity's forgotten past and the unlimited potential of their future. The end.